Good evening. Good evening. Welcome to Wednesday 815 Heart to Heart series. And today is actually our final session, and it has been a wonderful journey to have different speakers sharing with us all the valuable information and experience in each of these topics. And it's also wonderful to have all of you here. And I noticed that some of you has actually joined us from the beginning. And this is our 8th session, and you have been here with us from the first session until now. Thank you for all your support. Right. Okay. To those who are joining us for the first time, a warm welcome to all of you. I'm Angela. I'm the moderator for this session on parenting, especially in this pandemic time. The goal of this series is actually to build a community to share and encourage one another on the challenges and issues faced during this pandemic season, and to encourage you to know that you are not alone and we can go through this together. The series of live events is organized by Eirini Counseling, powered by ENCM. For the benefit of those who are joining us for the first time tonight, Eirini Counseling is a non-profit counseling and mental health service for the community, regardless of religion, ethnicity, social and economic status. We provide professional counseling and therapy for individuals, couples, as well as family. Right. Without further delay, allow me to briefly introduce our esteemed speaker. That will be Sean with us today, who is a sales director in one of the renowned investment bank in Malaysia, who also wear a hat of a pastor, a husband and a father of 4, ranging from 4 to 13. And Teresa Kong, who also wear multiple hats as a full-time homemaker, a social worker as well with the single mothers, an educator who has been also homeschooling her children, their age range from 13 to 24. So both of them, they are not husband and wife. They are from 2 different families, but both of them have 4 children. Sean is from 4 to 13 and Teresa is from 13 to 24. Okay, with all the vast and huge experience in all different areas, we are honored to have them here with us to share their experiences with us. Right. If along this talk, if you have any questions, you can actually post it in our Slido, which there will be putting up this slide where you can actually scan the QR code and put in your questions here if you want to remain anonymous. Can I have the QR code for the Slido? Okay, if you see this one, if you have any question, you can actually scan this and put your questions in, and your name will be actually, it will remain anonymous. Or if it is too much work for you, you can actually put in a question in the chat box and we will take it from there. So the session is going to be like, we have half an hour with the sharing from our speakers today. Then we will have some questions for them. And thereafter, we will actually take questions from the chat box and the Slido so that our experienced parents can actually share their valuable experience in upbringing with all of us with the parenting skill. Right. Let me pass the time to Sean and Teresa and let them just briefly introduce themselves, and we will take it from there. Pass over to Sean.
Hi, Angela. Good evening. It's great to see everyone here. As mentioned, I am married with 4 kids, and I look forward to learning together in this journey, right? So we will talk a little bit more later on. Teresa, over to you.
All right. Okay, I'm Teresa here. I'm so married with 4 kids, but this year I reach 53 years old. You can see, right? Sean is so young, I'm not. Anyway, good to have you. I think, am I supposed to kickstart already? Yes, all right, okay. Now, welcome everyone, good to have you here. I hope you had your dinner so that you can focus while listening. Yeah, if not, your hungry stomach will make you think other things, perhaps yummy food. Okay, today our topic is from just surviving to thriving. Okay, we want to really thrive your parenting. Thriving has a lot to do with the connotation of enjoy, you're doing well, and all that. So, but the focus is on the new norm, right? The new norm. Okay, next slide, please. Yes, let me briefly introduce my family to you. As you can see from here, I'm in the middle. Actually, this picture just taken like 10 days ago. My boy, the second one, he just turned 21, all right? The one that, look one kind, not say one kind. He always had this pose, putting his hands on the chin. That is my second boy. He turned 21. His name is Joash. So as you can see, to my left is my husband, Timothy Low. I'm married to him. He is the senior pastor of Eirini Church Malaysia. Yeah, so I do come alongside him to volunteer in pastoring as well. Okay, and then to my right is my youngest daughter. She is only 13 this year. In front of my husband is my eldest son. He's Joel. He's 24. He's already working. Of course, my 21 years old boy, he's still in college, and at the same time, he hold a part-time job. And then my third son is Jaden. He's 18 this year. So if I were to tell you my eldest is 24 years old, yeah, I have been mothering for 24 years, but as a full-time mom, I'm doing it for a good 23 years. Yes, 23 years, 22 and a half years, yeah, full-time mom. Okay, so this briefly about me and myself. Okay, all right, me and my family. Now let's start with yes, what is the new norm? New norm has caused us all to be. I think for my family, yeah, my children used to, because they have grown, they used to not around. Okay, because my older boys, the eldest already working, yeah. Then my two younger one in college, they used to not to be around. So with this new norm, everybody is at home, right? And all the time at home. So what are some challenges that I faced during this pandemic in my household? First and foremost, my house is so crowded. Not only 6 of us, my mother-in-law also staying with me. And also I have a black dog, okay? Yeah, so it's 7 plus 1. Okay, now with this crowdedness, basically means the space are congested and tends to perhaps, yeah, arguments. Well, we don't really argue every day, but you know, with this congestion, you know, my thing, your thing, you put things everywhere, you know, you never wash up, and you know, where is my this, where is my that? I think, I don't know, it's in my household. These are some of the questions. What are you going to eat for dinner? What are you going to eat for lunch? It's like every day got such question. So a lot of noises, okay, a lot of talking. Yeah, when we all free up our time from what we're supposed to do. Okay, if you're a person that appreciates some quietness, tidiness, right? Space for yourself. Oh, for me, I find, yeah, it can be overwhelming at times. Okay, now I have been a full-time mom for the past 20 over years. I've been working from home as I've been taking care of the family. It has been quite a fair bit of work. Of course, I used to have maid, now no longer. So now with pandemic, extra work. Yeah, really extra work. Every meal have to cook. You can imagine with me, right? I think some of you also as a mom, right? Full-time mom, perhaps, or even working mom, you not only like have to coach your children for studying, but you also have to think of their meal, right? And you have a season of IEMCO, you also don't dare to tapao. You hear all kinds of story, you know, how delivery food also can bring a virus to your home. So it really translates to work and extra work, okay? The tidying, the cleaning, and the cooking. Of course, mundane. It seems like life has been repeating every day the same, again and again. Yeah, many outside activities, we can no longer do it. Activities that help us to perhaps cheer us up or give us the leisure, no longer we can do so, like shopping, dine out, hang out with friends, go for your massage, you know, even go for like church activities. I think children is the same. So mundaneness will bring about a certain feeling of bored and languishing. So perhaps these are some challenges that we will face. Now, today I'm going to share with you about 4 handles that I find it helps me in how I cope with the challenges. Okay, the first one, first and foremost, I find is very important. We got to take care of ourselves, self-care. Just like in aeroplane, right? They always have this announcement go by that in case of emergency, if the air mask were to drop off from the top, please wear it for yourself first and help your child. It's the same with us. Okay, in this pandemic, we have to take care of ourselves, because when we take care of ourselves, when we are in such a up spirit, okay, then our children will feel whatever that we bring about, right? We don't want our children to be weatherman. You know what is weatherman? As though every day have to check, oh, mommy today is in good mood. It's sunshine day, you know. Then tomorrow turn on, look at mom, whoa, okay, thunderstorm, better behave yourself. So we don't want our children to be weatherman. We want to be putting out really a consistent, steady and calm and happy emotion. So taking care of ourselves is important. Now, how do we take care of ourselves? I find, yes, I believe all of us are triune being. We have this body part of us, soul part of us, and spirit part of us. So for body part, I believe we have to really do something about it, because a lot of work, right? We really need to rest well. And not only that, we really need to exercise, you know, to get our dopamine flowing. We have this happy hormone in us, right? Now, for me, in the MCO, the past MCO 1, 2, and 3, right? I literally go through menopause. So I really need to manage, you know, my body. I need to look into studying more about menopause and take the right supplement to help myself. And yeah, so body, don't neglect that. Your rest, your exercise, taking the right nutrients or even supplement to help yourself. Okay, so if I'm quite an outgoing person, I like to hang out with friends. So for me, something I need to do for myself is I need to talk to people. I need to relate outside home. So something that I really do for myself is learning to connect even more during a pandemic. My spirit has been how I really spend my time with God. That's how I really take care of myself, to have that moment of quietness. Yeah, to just before God and reading His word, to calm myself, even to have the right positive input by His word. So self-care is important. Yeah, if you take care of yourself well, you can take care of others. Number 2, intentional to connect. Now, this I'm coming. The next 3 handles is very much the way how we relate to our children. Intentional to connect. Yeah, basically it's about relationship. You can't deny a better relationship will bring about better influence. The greater relationship you have with your child, you can influence your child greater. So it's very important to take time to connect. Now, for us as a family, we do have time that we come together as a family unit. So every day we do have a dinner together, not lunch, because lunch, some of them are still having their class. The lunchtime, you know, it doesn't fit everyone. My husband is at home, but we do dinner together. So our dinner together is a time that we have a quick prayer, then eat together, talk together of different things. Yeah, so that is why we do daily. Yeah, a time to connect, a time to sit everybody down, to see their face, to know how that they're doing. Yeah, then once a week we do have a family time. Family time is when we do pray together. All right, pray for each other. We download a bit on the Word of God, yeah, to our children, and then I will have a chat on the household matters of SLV, household chores, you know, their behavior, certain things that they shouldn't do, certain that they should do, and all those things that happen in family time. Last but not least is this one-to-one time, which I find is very important. In my parenting journey, I find one-to-one helped me a lot, because my family is big. So the children will feel like, oh, I'm just one of the many. But it's in one-to-one time, they feel that they are special and they can be personal with us. So me and my husband, we do our one-to-one for each of every of our children. Okay. Of course, during the EMCO, we cannot go out. Then you cannot go out, right? We are stuck at home. Perhaps you just chat on them one-on-one. How you're okay? Very briefly, right? But when we can drive with 2 person in the car, you know, we will take turn to bring our children out, just to grab a snack, just to go through a drive-through, you know, and in the car we talk. So I find one-to-one is very powerful, because it's in one-to-one we talk a lot about heart matters. Yeah, whatever that's putting to a child's heart, whatever that they are going through. So because we have this practice since the beginning of time, so it's very natural for us to do that, right? When during MCO and all that, we still do that. Yeah. Okay. The third handle, I'm going to talk about consistent routine. Okay. I think we can't deny, right? Routine is something very powerful, because routine will help us organize our time to do different activities daily. And with consistency means you will have the habit, right, to develop So it's actually through this MCO, we help our children to develop consistent routine. Okay, of course, their work and their study, they will get up and do their things, right? But other than that, we will have a routine where lunch and dinner is in there, in that routine, their household chores that they have to do daily, yeah, the break that they can take to play game, yeah. So we do have that routine in place now. The powerful about routine is that, yeah, beside complete their daily tasks, I nag less. It's not I do nag, I still have to nag because they can like carry away with their thing and then forget about their household chore. Then I will have to remind them. But it does help me to nag them much less, okay? Because the time's up, they know what they're supposed to do, okay? Now, yes, the last handle would be respect boundary. Now, what is boundary? Boundary is basically the limit you set, right, for even your mental, okay, your emotional and your physical, yeah, between you and another person is where you end and another person start. I think it's very important as all of us in one roof under this crowded scenario, okay? Now, so it got to be communicated. For example, let me give you what in the beginning what happened, yeah. So because they used to not be around, then after that first MCO, they used to be around at home. So as a mom, I'm very naturally like, oh, I need help. Okay, I will call them. No, Joel, you help me this. Joel, you help me that, you know. So my sons will say, Mom, you know, please, you know, I'm in a meeting, you know. Can I do it later for you? So it has a lot of that. And because I used to like just anytime I can call them to help me. But it's no longer like that as they grow. They have their schedule, they have their routine, they have things to do. So I learned to communicate. So I need to give them like, preempt them, hey, tomorrow I need to go grocery. Can you come with me? So we got to plan a bit. No longer I can just command and demand, you know, I no longer can do that. So communication is very powerful for us to know, hey, so mom, you cannot disturb me during this time. Or mom, you can, okay, I can go with you during this time. So it helps. For example, my son and my daughter, they exercise in the evening and they want to exercise in front of the big TV because they can follow whatever, or they can watch the TV or follow whatever dancing step for my daughter. My husband is watching TV, you know, listening to podcasts and then follow he has an iPad and follow the exercise. So they want to have the same space, but the space can only contain one person. So they got to communicate. So my daughter will go, my daughter will go later. When my husband come back, he will go first. So he has to come back earlier for something from work. So at 5 o'clock, he has his routine of exercise. Then my daughter will do it at about 6 o'clock. Now, yeah. So I find boundary is something that you need to communicate. And also, of course, you need to accept, right? I had to learn to accept my children has grown, okay? The boundary, okay? I need to learn to whatever they ask for it, I to quote unquote flow with it. I notice this especially for my teenage daughters. We used to last time hang out a lot or together a lot, but I can see that she wants her space. So I also learn to respect that and accept that. So I need to find other ways of connecting with her. Yeah, so basically that. Okay, I hope I don't, yes, that's about all from me. Okay, if you don't have any questions, maybe you can ask in Slido, we can process further. I pass the time to Pastor Sean.
Right, thank you, Teresa. Thank you all. It's really insightful to learn. It's interesting that my youngest is 4 and then my eldest is 13. And then Teresa's youngest is 13 and the eldest is 24. Okay, so between the two of us combined, we have more than 100 years of parenting experience. Okay, just kidding. Just let me share my slides. A couple of slides and then we'll dialogue. I thought it's good to just hear a little bit from everyone, and I look forward to learn as well. This is my family. We don't have a recent pictures. This is taken during Chinese New Year, which is quite some time back. Chinese New Year this year, and some of them have added a few shoe size already. So my eldest is Kristen. She's 13 years old, and she has just entered into her secondary school. And Shane, he's 11, and Faith, which is 7, she's the one that is sitting with me, and she has just entered into her primary school this year. And so my 2 daughters actually started their new school, And it's really unfortunate, right? When they start new school, they don't really meet their friends. So, they have no friends in school besides meeting them online. And of course, Joash, 4 years old, and he just started his so-called kindy play school this year as well. Okay, so I guess like a lot of you, our challenges this season, or my challenges this season, is really the online classes with all 4 children, all different schedule, different classes, fighting for time, fighting for devices, fighting for Wi-Fi. And with me, I guess juggling at work. I think earlier you mentioned that I'm a sales director working in an investment management company. On top of that, also I lead and pastor one of the Every Nation churches here. And so juggling with work at home. So this is obviously a lot of us are going through this challenge as well. The other challenge that I face this season is really the social development of the kids, right? As mentioned, kids growing up, they grow, they learn best by socializing. So I think that's really unfortunately lacking, right? They can't go to church, they can't go to school, they don't have extra co-curricular activities. So that's something that we constantly talked about and was concerned about. And finally, I think my wife and I, we constantly talk about how do we continue to impart values as they grow older. I think that's something that we are constantly talking about, that those are the things that's constantly on our mind this season. So over the last 1.5 years, I think Teresa mentioned this a little bit. I find finding new routine is very important, and it's very helpful. New routine could be new hobbies, right? So in the past we have a 1.5 years ago, gardening, having hamsters at home, having all these little beads and arts. Those are really alien to us about before the pandemic happens. But we felt that finding new routines as a family, finding new routines for each and every child at their respective age is important for their development, right? So this new routine will include new hobbies. This new routine could be inclusive of finding their space, time together, as well as time, personal space on their own, right? So my wife is a morning person. So when she wakes up, she wakes up 6:30. The first an hour and a half of the time, that's her personal time, because she's the earliest to wake up. As for me, everyone will sleep by 10 o'clock. So 10 to 12 at night, that's my personal time. So we do have that time to kind of just have a little bit of self-care. Those are important moments. So we used to joke that when my wife and I, when we were dating, we will walk in the park together. So now she walks in the park in the morning, I walk in the evening. Okay. So developing new routine is important, whether it is exercise routine. So for our kids, every time it's 5 p.m., they will be outside. Okay. So of course, during the strictest lockdown, they can only be in the garden or in the garage. But today, the elder two, they will go out and take a walk. They will cycle around the neighborhood, and the 2 younger one will be, whether it's in the garden, playing badminton or just running around the house. So we kind of just instill that routine that 5 to 7:15, they are always outside. So we felt that kind of routine is very helpful. So of course, classes, all this helping them to find their personal space, right? Who do which class, all these are just practical ways that we find helpful to reduce the tension, to reduce the fighting at home. So that's for us. We find that finding new routine, space, hobbies, schedule, routine for exercise, study, all these are important. Second thing is choose your battle to fight. I don't know how many parents encounter this, that they will say, we hear of friends, we hear of church members saying that the children, when the teacher is teaching online, their cameras will be off and they will be totally doing something else. And I think we hear all about that. So I think for us, we choose our battle to fight. I think thankfully our children, we from the very onset, they are responsible for their homework. When they started school, they are responsible for their homework. So I think that helps to carry through during these online classes. So we choose our battle to fight. We felt that when this is just for us. So when they are attending online classes, when they are, they are chatting with their friends, their classmates who are attending classes. I think for us, we felt that that's the battle that we do not want to fight. That we kind of say that okay, they can chat with their friends in the same classroom while the teacher is chatting. For us, I think that's not the battle that we want to fight. But I think we draw the line if they are watching another video, or they're playing games, which they don't, or at least we don't know about it. But if we were to find out that they are watching movies, they're watching something else, they are playing games while the class is going on, then we will fight that battle. So I think, as parents, we just need to decide what is the battle that you want to fight, because you cannot fight each and every battle. So I think for us, values, integrity is important. Finishing your homework, be responsible, that is important. So we decide not to fight the battle of chatting. So just give example, just last week, my second daughter, she was on online classes, and my wife was standing behind her. She didn't know, and she was just she was supposed to do PE. Okay, so she didn't do PE, so she kind of tilted her computer away so that the teacher can't see her, and she's busy chatting with the friends instead of doing the stretching and all that. So for 10 minutes she didn't aware. So finally my wife kind of jumped behind her and said, hey, what are you doing? So she had a chat, and because of that, I think we made her do 5 days in a row of the same PE that she has to do, right? As a kind of a consequence. Obviously, we spoke to her. Then the following week, which is this week, before her PE class, she will prepare the place for her to do that stretching, do the PE class. So I think we just have to choose our battle to fight. Even at home, there are lots of things. Even sometimes parents are working, the house cleanliness. So you just have to decide whether you want to fight over different things. Thirdly, I think important to develop new support system, new social circles for kids. They can't go school, they can't go church, so socially potentially they are they kind of lost that 1.5 years in that sense. But what we gain this 1.5 years is that we learn to kind of foster family support system. And also, I think this 1.5 years, we got to know neighbors, which we never would have gotten to know if it's not for a pandemic. So during the time where, last year when cases wasn't so high, I think our house became the hub for kids to come over to play. Right? This was last year, and we get to know the kids, and our kids get to form friendships among some of the neighbors' kids within the same age, right? So today, the elder two, sometimes they will just go walking with some of the other kids in the neighborhood. So we felt that these are good support system for them to, of course, different kids, when they come over, they will have different tension, different conflict. And whenever they have those things, then we will then process with our kids. How do you handle this situation? How do you handle that situation? So I think that is kind of helpful for us. And finally, I think I just want to encourage that we want to focus on heart transformation, not just behavior modification. Focus on heart transformation and not just behavior motivation. I think this is modification. This is it's quite hard to tell because it's quite subjective. Behavior modification is external, right? Heart transformation is internal, something that you don't really see, right? External behavior modification will cause our parenting style to be either we parent by threaten or bribery, right? We will threaten if you don't behave. Later on when we go to grandpa's house, when we go to somebody else's house, if you do not, you threaten them, or you bribe them, right? You bribe them up front to behave. So that is really, I think, it's external, and I am guilty of that as well, and we tend to do that because it's short term. But I think what's really helpful is we focus on long-term internal heart transformation, and that's the difficult part, but I think it is worth it, right? And that goes with what I think Teresa mentioned about connection. As we connect deeper, we bring about correction. We watch out for windows of opportunity to just talk about things. My elder two, sometimes they want us to be with them when they want us to put them to sleep, and they'll just talk. Those are the windows of opportunity to kind of, they will kind of surface different things. And those are the times when we are able to just impart values. Those are the time where we are able to affirm them, encourage them as parents. Heart transformation, it's also involved forgiveness. I think none of us is perfect, and sometimes we want our kids to be perfect, but actually when we look at ourselves, we are not, right? So I remember there was one season where one of my child constantly he will tell not full truth. Okay, so he will find his way to, because we know that integrity and lying is a big thing in our house. So he will find ways to not tell full truth. So he will constantly do that, and it was a long journey that we have to sit down with him and kind of walk through. There is consequences to when you don't tell the full truth, when you lie about this, and we just repeat and repeat. So I think there was one season, a good couple of 1-2 years that we just kind of continue on to kind of engage and just connect and just have conversation about that kind of value. Teaching forgiveness, I think, is powerful. When we do something wrong with our children or to one another, to spouse, we ask for forgiveness, asking them to seek forgiveness from one another. It's also matters that we deal with the heart. So I think so I think as parents, we just want to get through the day sometimes, and we just want them to behave, and but I think during this season, let's not lose the opportunity to work with their heart and allow God, allow values to transform their hearts. So I think that's a quick sharing on my side. Just one example, I think recently, I still have time, right? Yes. So recently, just an example of heart transformation. My child, she was playing some games with friends, and over her foolishness, as they play, they lose, and then they will bet things. Okay, they will bet, and then they will say that, okay, and the person that she plays with, her friend, is someone we know, and that person is I think 3 years older than her. So obviously that person is better, right? Smarter, more experienced. So obviously my daughter, the second one, will constantly lose, right? But she constantly want to, I guess this is out of foolishness, she just keep on betting in that sense. What do they bet? They bet things that they accumulate in a game. When they play games like Roblox, they will have accumulate points. They will have to commit a lot of points to get certain things. So she began to bet all those things, and there was one night, this was just about a couple of weeks ago, and she couldn't sleep, and she blurted out to my wife and said that, "Mommy, I can't sleep," and she felt so bad that she cannot pay that to her friend. And then the next day, my wife had a conversation with her, and she began to realize that the points that she owe, or the things that she owe her friends, is way beyond what she has in her character, so-called in a game, right? So we had my wife had a conversation with her and helped her to see that, instead of just asking her, "Yeah, forget about it lah," whatever. So it's a good conversation that my wife kind of have. She's 7 years old, and to have that conversation to see that there are consequences to her action, or consequences to her foolishness or irresponsibility. So we kind of help her to map out how many points she has and how many points she pay back. And what was good is that her elder sister, we kind of talked to the elder sister. The elder sister, yeah, sure, she has lots of things. And an elder sister so kindly to kind of just transfer all the stuff to the younger sister's account. And we kind of help the younger sister to see, you always fight with Cheche, right? Now Cheche is helping you, even. And we kind of list down, and we tell her, okay, now you talk to your friend. You say, this is what I have, and we are friends, and could we call it square ones? So then she called the friend's mother phone, and then asked to speak to the child, and then she kind of recite what she. So I think it's a good lesson for her to, she was obviously, I think she learned her lesson about thinking what she does has consequences, and about So I think those are good connection point, and those are good moment to just focus on heart transformation. Rather, I mean, with my wife could have just brush it off and say, yeah, you all play game, just ask her to forget about it, or just scold her and move on. But I think those moments are great moments to bring about values and bring about conversation that opens up the heart. So I think that's for me. Back to you, Angela.
Right. Well, thanks for the interesting sharing. I don't know that in Roblox also you can actually teach them in a way how to invest and how to get out of investment. Well, that's interesting. Thank you, Sean, and thank you, Teresa, for the sharing. Right. It's just as we know, and in parenting style, there are four types of parenting style. One being the authoritarian, where parents are like a commander. I say, you listen. Right, where we don't really consider the needs of our children. We just want them to follow what we say. A second style will be the authoritative, where we still set boundaries, we have control, but at the same time, we also give them freedom, and we attend to the emotional needs. So that's like a very balanced note from both sides. And the third one will be permissive, where some parents will just they will not be punitive. They will just be, encouraging and very permissive. Whatever the child decides, they will just give them the room and the space. And the last being the detached parenting style, where they are not very involved with the decision and the upbringing of the children. So it looks like we both have the same pattern of parenting style, but would you like to share more about your parenting style that you adopt with, and how do all your 4 children react or respond to that? Let's start with Teresa.
All right. So when I started parenting, nobody tell me got 4 style, and nobody introduced me, oh, this is the best style, right? So it's basically, as I grow, I learn what works and what doesn't work. I find that what really works is you got to love them and hold the relationship. Then when you discipline them, talk to them, then they feel because out of love, you do all this to them, they will flow and they will obey. And of course, because of our biblical value, we have a standard, right? So with that standard, we uphold the standard, it seems we are strong. For example, it's very true. In my household also, lying is a big deal. So when my children was young, when they were found lying, 7K, regardless of age. Is that bad? No? Now I think that, wow, that is how夸张 we are, but then it really helped.
Sorry, Teresa, did you just say 7 canes?
Yeah. So
maybe I should ask my son to come here and listen.
Of course, when I talk about 7 cane, right, we really told them, if you lie, we found out, it will be 7 cane. Now, lie with malice intention especially, right? So we really uphold that, and we can see that our children, quote unquote, have been weed off from lying, because, it's very real. Lying, it really affected the integrity and also the trustworthiness of the person. And it will affect relationship, right? At the end, is relationship is at risk if you lie, right? You will hurt the others. So anyway, we do uphold certain standard very high. And to bring them to that standard is not only rules and law, but it's with a lot of love, help them to see the consequence, and adjust them. And it's like what Sean said, is many times have to continue to adjust them. Yeah, and I find it's worth it. It's worth it to have that onset of how God taught me really how I learned from biblical parenting, that it's not about your rules and laws. It's about your love. Will they feel your love and they want to flow with you? Yeah.
What about you, Sean?
Well, the good thing about having 4 kids is that you can try all 4 different approach to the different kids, and 20 years later and see which one is the best. Okay, just kidding. I think similarly to Teresa, I think we will probably be authoritative. I think the second one, the boundaries are clear. Hopefully, the values that we uphold to, I think they are clear since young. They know that the values or the boundary that we draw, and if they were to cross a certain boundary, there will be consequences. Of course, that comes with a lot of connection and relationship.
Right. I'm just curious, Teresa. Since you have 4 kids, right? I'm sure along the way they lie, and the big lies and small lie, white lies, and all different type of lies. Have you ever gone into the place to find why did they lie?
Right. Okay. So to discipline a child, first and foremost, we arrest the behavior, right? We don't go and ask why, because if you go and ask why, they will learn to give excuses. And the more bombastic the excuses they give, they thought they can get away with it. So we arrest the behavior by discipline first, because standard already set, right? Then you have to execute the discipline. Then got to tell them what they do is not acceptable. I don't really ask for why. I will tell them why is it not acceptable. Then, yeah, I don't think, especially when they were young, only very much later. I don't know. I'm not sure whether do I ask them why, but when they were young, I don't really ask them why. I really arrest the behavior. But what the question asked should be always, I cannot remember I asked a question, but all I know is the leading of that process of discipline is arresting the behavior, execute the discipline, right? Is it be cane or stand at the corner, or whatever. Then thereafter, yeah, tell them the consequence of the action. Okay, I don't really give chance for them to say any reason why. Only maybe at the far end, after I hug them, mommy love you regardless, then I will give them a space to talk. That is when they were young. Because when I find that arrest that behavior, thereafter, you see, discipline doesn't only happen when you cane them and the episode of when you found them do wrong. At night, there is a time to talk again. Then I will dwell and different things. So I do find I spend a lot of time talking to my children after, not on the spot. Okay. Simple example. One hit the other. Boys, right? They play, right? Sometimes they hit the other. So the first thing I do, I grab them one away in the room. I don't grab. Sometimes they meet me in the room. They know already. Yeah, things are coming. So they get into the room. They get their caning. They get whatever they need to get. All right. So that's it. Then, but of course, every time I will hug them. I say, "Mommy love you." The reason Mommy cane you is because Mommy love you. Mommy will teach you to do right thing. Okay. And it's at other time we will talk about why you do the things that you do. So I always emphasize on arrest the behavior. Okay, the reasoning is at other time. Okay, but I find this reasoning also, it happen only when they are older. Because when they are like 4, 5, no chance for excuse. You are wrong, then you are wrong. Maybe you are right. 11, 12, then I will take time to have that reasoning, because they will start to want to reason. Yeah, but younger than that is very much instruction. Okay, that's for me.
Right. What about Sean?
Yeah, just to add to that, only as Teresa mentioned, when they are younger, 4, 5, 6, 7, as long as they know of the boundaries, I think the discipline only can happen when they have been communicated the boundary clearly, and that they understand, right? So then when they cross the boundary, they know that there is consequences to that. Yeah.
Right. Okay. Right. What are your internal and external resources to cope with challenges? Sean, you want to go first?
I think it's very important that the husband and wife, father mother's relationship, that is the internal resources to tap on. The stronger the marriage, or the stronger the relationship is between the spouse, the stronger resources that you can draw strength from one another. Obviously, that is the internal resources. Of course, for us, we want to point them towards God. As children, we all know that in our hearts we are all fallen in that sense. So as young as they are, always when they do things which are not right, whether it's lying or whatsoever, we always point them towards towards God. I think that's our internal resources. I think external looks very different from different ones. we try to draw support from different one. Obviously, my parents are away in the hometown, so different families, they may draw external resource from extended families, from different helps. So I think that's for us. I had a helper for this, but I think my helper went back about few weeks ago. So there are different resources that we can always.
I think his line just his line just froze. Yeah, he's back.
Yeah, sorry.
Yeah, yep.
Yeah, I was saying that internal resources is very important. Externally, there is always different practical ways to tap on. Yeah.
What about you, Teresa?
Doesn't run far about the same, but external resources, I've talked about that. I find community really important. Community of the same faith, yeah, especially when they are in their teenage years, they no longer, whatever your parents say is the thing. They will say, my teacher say this, my friends say that. Other voices has been crowded into their life. So the right community they are in is very important, that share the same value.
Do you interfere with the community that they mix with?
Okay, these are good questions. Do I interfere? Perhaps I would say not much. Yeah. Because my children, besides school, is church. So I would say not much, but I can't deny there are bad influences. So we just have to be on top of them, as of in knowing what is happening in their life, then hands off. Yeah. So it's like you monitoring them, what they say, right? They will start to learn to swear, all those, picking up all the language their friends are saying. So we will always put forth our standard again and again, like saying, for example, swearing and the way they talk. So my husband always have this rule. If you don't see me and my mommy say like that, talk like that, you shouldn't talk like that. You don't see us using these words, you shouldn't use this word under this roof. So, we just monitor You can't deny there will be influences that different from ours, but it's just that how we help them to see is important to hold the rule. Yeah. Then, at the end, it's still that relationship at home. So whatever influences that come by, right, we always there for them to show them we love, we care, we want the best, and we help them through. So we don't directly intervene and try to block this, block that. We don't do that. Yeah, we always bounce thoughts and try to find out what happened to them. And this is especially important in our one-to-one conversation. Yeah, the question that we always ask is, so, what is pressing your heart lately? So what has been happening to you? Then we know they are good friends, like, oh, how are you doing with this good friend of yours? What are you into now? So this is how we find information and then guide them along the way.
Yeah.
Right. Okay. It sounds like again and again, I think you put in a lot of emphasis that having a strong relationship between parents and your child, it's the first and foremost important thing, because when the relationship is strong, it can actually block a lot of things that could be distracting and destructive in nature. So it's that internal relationship between the parent and the child that matters the most, right? Okay, right. How do you perceive this pandemic? Because the weight of the stressor of this pandemic for children actually depends on the parents' perception. Some parents, they will be, they'll be so paranoid about this whole thing, like going out and all this, and the way they perceive this whole pandemic actually has an influence, and it actually can add on stress to their child. How do you perceive this pandemic? Teresa, I want to start first.
Okay, this pandemic. Now, of course, this pandemic is a negative words, right? Now, what I enjoy during this pandemic is I have back my children with me. I mean, crazy, right? Yeah, but it's true, no? Before pandemic, you cannot find them. They are not in the house. Either hang out with this, go out with that, right? They don't. Always out, always out. So during this pandemic, literally, I can have back my children with me. Right? Is for me that is a plus point . So we do spend more time together. All right. That even having meal every day is a plus point, because sometimes, not sometimes, before pandemic is really difficult. right? You either don't have this, don't have that one around. Yeah. Of course, pandemic is negative. I do have certain concern and worry. I don't encourage them to go out unless it's necessary, which most of them abide. Yeah. So, but my faith is in God. Yeah, my faith is in God. A lot of times we do all the SOP also, we don't know what will happen. But then because my faith is in God, I think the faith that we imparted to our children is also powerful, because faith is not something only you read about it, but you emulate, you saw other people and it come to pass, then they caught on. So I find it helps them to have that faith as well, because we truly have one incident. We have close contact with another couple, me and my husband. This is during the first MCO, in an aircon environment. Eat the food, sharing. They were found positive, but we were okay, you know. So in that sense, God has been good to really grace us, because perhaps just of the different things do, and our house has so many children. But regardless, it's really something that they can emulate, faith, you know, to rather than have fear. I always tell myself I need to have faith and choose to have faith.
So I'm hearing that your faith and your trust in God is actually your perception towards the pandemic, that they don't have to worry so much because after all, you know, your God is in control of your life, right? Right. What about Sean?
Yeah, I think it's important that because our children will feel what we feel, right? They will catch our emotion. I guess as parents, I think it's very important what we want to, because we are living real life, right? As believers, we are demonstrating real faith in the midst of pandemic. So as much as we want our kids to be informed, I think the elder two are a little bit more informed about this COVID, because in the school they also talked about it, right? They talk about virus, they talk about mutation. As much as we want them to be informed, we want them to be wise. I think those are the things that we would like to in a sense instill in them. But at the same time, you know, our kids do see us going about our daily things that we need to do now, whether it's groceries, whether it is going to church, whether it's work. Although I work from home, but once in a while I do go office. But they don't, they don't see us being frightened or being in fear. I think those are important. Even if sometimes if we are parents, I mean, as parents, even if we are in fear, I think we just have to be careful in how we express those. Maybe sometimes some of these things, it's best to express it behind closed doors between the husband and wife, rather than in front of a 4-year-old or a 6-year-old, right? To hear a lot of things which they may not be able to fully understand. But I think children, they feel what we feel, so that's very important.
Yeah, that reminds me when one of my worker, where we were in the same car and he had COVID, and my worker, me and my son, we were in the car for like a half an hour for him. Then for me, it's like another 1 hour. So when he confirmed that he had COVID, I was really like freaking out. The fear of, you know, having COVID also, because my son is still young and my mom is already like 92. So I think that sent a message, very strong message to my son, where he was more cool and more calm than me. But I could see that he was also freaking out, because he came, I mean, until a point where he couldn't hold it, he came to ask me and say, "Mommy, if I were to go to the hospital, do they speak English?" And that's where I know he was really, really very worried if he has to be admitted to the hospital. Yeah. So our reaction does have an impact. Our perception definitely have an impact on parenting on our children. Right. Thank you for that. The next question, have you ever felt, especially like, you know, with all this stress during this pandemic, during this crisis time, have you ever felt that you have failed as a parent? And if you have, how did you deal with it? Either one of you.
Teresa, you want to go first?
Right. Of course. Many times. When you see when I see my children not behaving, you know, of course, you know, as they grow teenagers, they answer back, or show face. Of course, I feel like, whoa, what's happening, you know? Yeah. How do I overcome, yeah. First and foremost, I realize the grace of God. I'm sinners. My children also are sinners. You know, all of us need grace. Yeah. Of course, as a parent, I will try to troubleshoot what went wrong. What should I do? What should I don't do? Right? And also, at the same time, I forgive myself. Learning to forgive myself, I think, is something very powerful. Because after I forgive myself, you know, I know God forgive me and God will grace me. I know I'll pick back myself again and I'll do again. The thing about parenting is it's a journey. Yeah, it's really a journey. It's not like one time you feel that's it, charm already. No, you still have many days ahead. Yeah. Even it's something that I did wrong, so I also need to ask for forgiveness from my children. So being as I receive grace from God, I'm gracious to myself. I will be gracious to my children. Yeah. So the grace is something very powerful. You know, at the end of it, I know it's not that I kanjiong about my children. You know, I want the best for my children. God also is the same and even more. So I always take comfort in that. Yeah.
I think it's very powerful to know that number one, we have to first forgive ourselves, learn to forgive. Forgiveness is very powerful, and knowing that, you know, we have the grace of God, and then keep reminding us that parenting is a journey. I like a phrase that I have constantly heard: fail forward. That we keep failing, but we keep moving forward. Yeah. What about you, Sean?
Yeah, definitely there are bad days, there are good days. Like what Teresa mentioned, we often feel like we are failure when, you know, maybe when we receive our kids end of the year report card, or when we find out that they are doing something they're not supposed to do. I think those are the days whereby we felt we felt let down in that sense. But I think what is important is to keep going, right? Keep going. Don't be too hard on yourself. There are good days, there are bad days. Continue to engage the children. Sometimes you may feel that I've engaged the kid so many times. I've already told him or told her so many times. It's keep repeating and again and again and again. You know what? I think we just have to continue. We just have to press on. We just have to trust God. We just have to believe that as we continue to do that, you know what, it will be worth it, and we will reap the fruits in due time. Yeah.
I feel so comforted, and it's so comforting to hear this from you, that you both of you have felt that you have failed. And of course, and when Teresa emphasized the word of course, and that really validated my feeling that I am not alone. And for the many out there who is listening and who's joining us, I'm sure you feel that comfort as well, that, oh, you're actually not alone. Everybody goes through that same path and the same pattern. And yeah, forgiveness, grace, and reminding ourselves parenting is a journey. It's going to help us a great deal. Right. I'm going to take some questions from the participants. First question will be, how does your role in church leadership shape your parenting, especially when all eyes are on you and your kids?
Okay, maybe I'll just quickly go first because my children are younger. I did ask my eldest once before, how does she feel like growing up because she's only 13. For her, she said that she didn't felt any difference in that sense. She didn't feel that she was being judged, or she didn't feel that. And I really thank the community for that. So I had a conversation with one church member who is a pastor's kid, and there was one year she commented that she liked it so much to see my kids growing up without that kind of pressure or whatnot, right? So I asked her what does she mean by that, and she thought about it. She said maybe it's because whatever that we want our children to, in terms of the value, it's because we really believe in it, and we really want it to be in them, rather than the value that we want because they are because they are a pastor's child, therefore they have to. So I think that is the main difference. So I think for us, it's still a journey for us, but I think that by God's grace, it has been okay. Yeah.
When you say it's still a journey for us, what do you mean?
Well, my kids are not fully teens yet, so they are, the 4-year-old. The 4-year-old, that day we went to church to take something, and he came in. I said, "Do you remember this place?" He said he doesn't remember this place. 4-year-old, 2 years in pandemic, has never been to church, so he don't remember church. Anyway, yeah. So it's still a journey for us.
Right. What about you, Teresa?
All right. So the all eyes on us, I think not all true lah. Huh? Maybe half of the eyes on us. Don't advise those all eyes on us. No, look to God, don't look to us. We are human being, saved by grace. All are sinners. Okay. Okay. So we don't pressure our children for sure. We never tell them that, hey, your pastor kids behave. We never say that, right? Because no, we are just privileged to serve God. That's my perception. So my husband is privileged to serve God. So I do ask, 2 of my children, do you all feel pressure? Then my son, no, I don't feel anything. Okay. Then my other boy say, yeah, I think it's because people, the way they look at you, he say, no, it's more like I put it on myself, because my father is a pastor, I need to behave, But then he himself also say, but actually, whoever the father you have, you also will feel pressure. Let's say if your father is a doctor, you have to behave a certain kind. If your father is a lawyer, you have to behave a certain kind. So he say, if your father is a McDonald's worker, so something like that, then I would say, you also feel pressure because you don't have enough money to spend, whatever lah. Yeah. So basically, I don't think first and foremost, we don't put our children as such. We don't tell them that you have to behave because you're pastor's kids. It's more like you obey God, right? Yeah, you have a relationship with God. Yeah, we never even tell our children about being a pastor. We say, don't be a pastor. You only be a pastor when God call you. Don't even think along that line, So we want our children to grow up normal. So perhaps they will be. But then let me tell you, thus far, what my children encounter with people around them in church are people who bless them and love them. I don't think they came across anybody who throw them sentences or judge them. Not that I know of thus far. Yeah, so we really are so blessed. They can see our life is so blessed. They are blessed. For example, my husband's birthday, my birthday, we receive so many kind of food and gift. And when they give us things, they always give us big portion because they know we have 3 boys who can really eat and so on and so forth. So we are blessed. So that is how I felt thus far for my children. And I know the fact is this, that my children are just as normal as any other kids outside there. Doing life. And basically that.
Growing up in the church, I think this is the first 2 pastors or pastor's wife that speak very differently from a lot of the preachers that I have met. Very unconventional, very unorthodox. If I knew you were going to say that, I would have dragged as many pastors and their kids together to come to this session. Thank you very much. I think your children are blessed because you are not putting pressure, and you are also telling them that they are just, serving God is just a privilege, something that they want to do out of their own will and not out of pressure. Thank you for that. Right. There's one question from the participant as well. What are your high and low moments like as your children enter different life stage? For example, from childhood to adolescent to adulthood. Can you recall any low, any high moments?
I think for me is my 2 kids going into new school. So I think this was probably a few months ago when my 7-year-old started a new school and she was doing PE over Zoom. So I was watching her and she was jumping, and at first it was quite funny, right? Then after that, I feel sad, really. I feel sad for her that, it's a new school, a new environment, and she had to. I mean, when we go to school, the best thing about school was friends, right? So I was feeling quite sad at that time. The realization to say, wow, they're doing PE via Zoom. A new school doesn't have friends, a new environment. So I felt low, I felt sad in that moment to say, wow, I wish that pandemic would be over soon, so that they can go back to become. To relate just like children do lah. And I believe that listening in, your parents of kids in different age group, and you will probably wish that as well. Some could be going into college, right? Some could be going into university and it's online. Some could be going to high school and they're missing out on all the after school activities whereby they are learning to be young adults to build meaningful relationships. So I think that is probably what I can think of, one of the low light, especially for them transitioning same goes my elder one. She transits into secondary school this year. So I think those are the concerns and the low lights that I have. Yeah.
Okay. As for me, yes, I do have challenges, very challenging and pressing moment. I can think of my first son is when he had wrong influence from friend, and my second son, there is a stage of his life he doesn't want to study. He said, study is a make-up thing. Everybody go through the same thing. They come out the same. He wants to do things differently. He doesn't want to study and all those kind of things. That's my second one. And my third one, he was bullied. So there are low moments, and in fact, I will call it a crisis moment, in their life. Of course, there are high good moment as I see them walk through that journey. I see them how they turn, and now they become so much more stable, steady, and responsible. And of course, they do well in their study, and they also assume leadership and serving. So I do see that, in my 3 boys. And of course, my girl is still growing. Of course, she also have a bout of journey, friendship problem, especially with girls. So there are some, for sure, there are some low and high moment.
Right. Let's say if your child feels that you don't spend enough time with him or with her, although you are already doing your very best, when your child acts out, what do you do?
When a child acts up, is it?
Yes.
Yeah. I think for my younger two, I think I do see that, right? Especially the youngest. He's always very close and very clingy to mommy. Even though my wife do spend a lot of time with him. In fact, the 4-year-old, when she's attending classes, literally he needs someone to sit next to him to kind of assist him, because he will be only 4 by end of this year actually. So I think there is a lot of time spent with him, and yet I think after that he still wants to be to play with mom or with whatever. So I think those are real. So it's about constantly telling him mommy already spend time with you, now mommy need to do something else. Then we try to what is good is that my elder two we do ask our elder two to take care of them, to play with them, so they will kind of take turn. But of course, after 10 minutes, 15 minutes, for them it's like, oh, that's it, but we just try to make do with all that. And then I think sometimes we just have to sternly tell, especially my younger one, we will sternly tell him that no, mommy need to do something, and you just have to play with Coco, you just have to read on your own, you just have to play this on your own. Yeah. So I think that's an ongoing thing that we face as well.
Yeah. Okay, so for me, what I learned about love language is very powerful, because different child, different the way they receive love. Okay, especially children, the younger they are, they don't know how to express their love, like, oh, this is my love language, or you cannot observe and find a. So you have to practice all 4 love languages. For me, the younger ones. Of course, the older one, you roughly know already. Oh, this one need quality time. You need to go out, hang out and talk. This one, act of service. Cook, bring food to the table. Say, hey, come on, eat something. Breakfast. The other one, wow, birthday, must have present. One present is a big deal. So I just remember one of them. I really give the child of mine a big surprise for her birthday gift. So wow, easily make her day. So I think that is depends on each child. You must roughly know their love language. If you don't know, you practice all 4. So the thing about our children, they act up is because their emotional tank is really lacking. They just want that. Yeah, perhaps if your child is a hugging kind of person and you are not, you must learn to hug more. If your child is a person that positive encouragement is very important words, yeah. So you need to learn to praise more. I realize I'm like that. I don't really know how to praise my kids when they were young. Actually, it's through one course, yeah. I think alpha parenting. I realized this is my weakness. I don't praise my children enough because maybe by background, I seldom hear my parents praise me. So I thought, praising is like too much. But, I realized, well, praising is something very powerful. So got to find your child love language and minister accordingly. And if you don't know what is their love language, you have to practice all four. Yeah, it's good that.
I think that is a very good advice. If they are still young and you don't really know what are their love language, you practice all 5 of them. So we have this
5, okay. Okay.
I'm sure one of your child doesn't have that. The other, all 4 of them, just that 4. So
Okay.
Quality time, act of service, gift, word of affirmation, and physical touch. So yeah, it's very good. If we were to know our child's love language, because that if we were to demonstrate to them the way they feel love, I think that will fill up that, like what Teresa has correctly pointed out, that we fill up the emotional tank, and then when they feel happy and they feel satisfied, they won't act out. So I think that same goes for all human beings, I think. Right. That's one more questions from here. The question goes like, okay, can share some practical handles for teens into pornography. Cane, lectures, external helps, and don't seem to work.
Maybe I'll kickstart first now. I find it's very important to educate our children when they are young on sex, so that it won't be something curious and they go and find out themselves or find out from friends. So from us, me and my husband, we raised the first 3 boys, like we will from about age 11, we will start to talk about this subject. Right? You know why? Because my first child, he was exposed from others on this subject. So I got a shock of my life. Even then, he was quite young. He was about 12. So I realized, okay, maybe 12 is too late. 11, I have to do something already. So I restart to throw ideas, give them, let them know. Yeah, so it's very interesting. As of in, they will have funny questions, but it's good. It's good that we are the one that tell them, give them the right perspective on this. Yeah. So if the foundation is there, yeah, then it's easy for us to pick up the topic anytime. And we will even tell them there is this thing and you don't go into it. Yeah. So it's a gradual telling them. So I find my husband is very good at this, because he, like what I say, one-to-one time. Yeah. It's a time that they even talk about this subject. Yeah. Somehow we still Asian parent, we won't talk at a dining table, talk about all these things. It's always one-to-one. Yeah. So it was brought up. Educate them young. Same with my daughter, right? Now, other than that, I know my husband is the one that journey my boys. I'm the one that journey my girl, right? So I think my husband will check on them from time to time. And they also naturally will go to the father if they have struggle in this area. And that's my side.
Yeah, on my side, I think my eldest daughter, 13-year-old, because my wife is kind of helping her a little bit with her schoolwork. So there is a topic about Malay is pembiakan system, English is a reproduction system, right? So that's the time whereby my wife will had already talked to her about these things. And my son is 11. I think like what Teresa said, that I probably need to start engaging him, especially now online class, right? So everything's online as compared to physical school, right? They're not as they don't use the internet as much as now they are online. But Teresa, next week we have a talk, right? On
yeah, that's right. We have a talk on the, I think 18th of September. Yeah, right? So. Sex education.
Right. We have come to 9:29. Let's take the last questions. Somebody posted in the chat box and say, how do you discipline a 15-year-old boy, especially found lying? So like when you say when they're younger, maybe you don't, talk to them, you don't talk much, but you just, set boundaries and all this. But what about a 15-year-old?
At this age, it's good to find out, it's good to process already, right? Of course, if you don't have this kind of rule at home, it's difficult for you to say, oh, you're lying now, I want you to do this. No, it has to be lay first. You want to so-called punish anything, it's because you have laid that rules and you violate, then I can punish you. So for a boy that is 15 years old, right, I'm not sure, has this been put across very clearly? It is not acceptable. And if you were to do this again or do this, I will have to withdraw privileges. Because for a boy 15 years old, you no longer can be physical with them, yeah? You can just you for sure can withdraw privileges. So you have to withdraw privileges that is causing him pain, right? But again, like what I say, before that, standard already set. He already know. If he doesn't know, or he doesn't know as of in, not that he doesn't know his lying is wrong. It's more like he doesn't know that it will be punishment. You cannot do that. You have to be fair to him. So perhaps if you found, then it's good to set already the standard, okay? And what are the consequences? So start with that. But I still want to advocate, know your child, right? Beside all these things they're doing, know your child, build a relationship with him. He's already 15 years old. You can do a lot of talking, processing together, make your relationship with him thick, that you can talk about anything, everything. Yeah, it's very important because you want to speak. Yeah, you want to speak the truth in love. Can he feel your love before you want to, give it to him? Yeah, whatever the consequence. So can he feel your love? Can he feel your care? Right? So get into his world, understand him. Yeah, don't give up. Don't give up. Yeah, don't think that is the end of thing. Yeah, just find a way how you can further help your son. Right? Again, parenting is a journey. Today he can be failing in this area, but maybe 5 years down the road he's a different person, because God is in the business of changing people, right? Yeah, so that is my take lah, huh?
And if I could just add, I think it's the whole environment. Like let's say if the whole family we have all this while been okay with lying, and then suddenly after attending a talk, or suddenly we feel that we want to change, and suddenly we started imposing. So obviously it will be a culture shock, for our children. So it has to be instilled since young. But if we, as parents, if we have not been instilling it since young, then I think it's about taking a step back and processing it with the child, and maybe tell the child that as parents, we also want to be subject to telling the truth. So it's like at that age, maybe it could be a mutual accountability in that sense, right? I remember taking kids to, when they're young, when they're 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 years old, when they go to theme park, water park, when they go into the zoo, right? When they have age limit, after a certain limit, you pay much higher fees. So it starts from all there, right? So when they're 13 years old and you tell the entrance keeper, hey, she's 12 years old, right? So your child growing up see us as parents also, we kind of get out. So I think it starts from all that, right? So I think as they are 15 already, then it's about processing, and if let's say as a whole family, then we could challenge and say that, hey, why don't we take this up as a whole family, that we want to instill truthfulness in this, So sometimes lying, it could be a particular, at 15 years old, there could be deeper issue as well. When 15 years old, when they could be hiding something, they could be, so those are very specific case to case already.
Yeah, to add to that, I think if you being a parent, you think that the problem is getting more serious, I think there are helps available. You can also seek professional help. Apart from that, I think reading up also helps a lot. Because lately I'm just reading articles on, there are so many articles by the professional counselors and therapists that address the issue of lying by our children. Why do they lie? Some they lie because of maybe they have low self-esteem. They're just trying to make up that esteem to boost their own self-confidence. Some lie because they are just whatever task is being given to them, they feel it is impossible to complete. So as a result, they run away from it. So they tell you that they have done the homework and all this, but actually in actual fact, they have not. But just to avoid that. And some they lie because they just want everybody to feel good, including themselves. So they want to avoid maybe conflict. So I think it is important, like from the articles that I read, it is important we understand, especially when they are like in their teens, it is important that we know the reason why they lie. We can work together with them. I think that helps them to realize that, they have support from parents, that we can actually work through this together. Right. That will take us to the end of the session. Thank you, Sean. Thank you, Teresa, for your time and your precious experience and your honesty to share with us about your family and your parenting. And it's very real that I think you make a lot of us feel very comforted today. That I'm sure a lot of us feel that at one time or another we feel as a parent, and your words are very encouraging, especially from a parent of 4 children. I'm sure you have a lot of experience that for those who only have 1 child have yet to experience that. Right. Thank you so much for your time. Right. We have come to an end to this session, and maybe you can type in the chat box, that is, what is the one thing that you learned from this session. This is the moment. If you have any aha today, please to encourage your speaker, what you have learned from them, their valuable sharing, their experience, you have learned something from them, you can just put it in the chat box. Right. Next, this is going to be our last session, and we hope that you have gained something valuable. And do remember that if all of us, we are facing some kind of challenge one way or another in this, especially in this pandemic time, but know that you are not alone, and we are in this together, and we can go through this together. Right. I'm just going to put up a slide for the contact number. If that's any time, if you think that you need help, some professional help, either to help yourself as parents or to help your children, or you just want someone to talk to, these are the helplines, the contact numbers that you can call. With Eirini Counseling Services, you can call Elaine, and with all the others that's available, you can actually give them a call to find out, if you need help. These are all available for you. Right. We also have this feedback survey. If the virtual support can just flash that feedback survey. Yeah, it's there. Okay. Yeah, maybe you can give us some feedback. Tell us, how do you find about our sessions? Even if the past few sessions, if you have been joining us, and maybe you would like to know more about certain topics you're interested, and you would like us to, maybe in the future, we can hold some talks on that. Yeah, do put in your feedback and let us know. All right. Thank you again, Sean and Teresa, for your time and for your sharing. Okay, we have prepared breakout room as well for those who would like to check in with our counselor. Maybe you can just DM Elaine, who is our licensed counselor for Eirini, and she will be able to have a brief chat with you over the breakout room. For those who do not want to or do not wish to join the breakout room, it's my pleasure to say thank you for coming, and we have come to the end of this Heart to Heart series, 8 sessions. Yes, we did it, and we hope that you have gotten some good, valuable information and knowledge to help you through this journey. Thank you very much, and thank you for joining us. Thank you for giving us a chance to serve you and journey with you these 8 weeks, and thank you for giving yourself a chance to care for your needs, and also yourself to care for yourself as well. This is self-care. When you join, it's also part of self-care. Till we meet again, take care and stay safe. God bless.